very ridiculous expectations in regards to that, but that all starts with series like this. Last series of the group stage for this group, LNG win, they are through to the Ascension group, the upper group of the Rumble stage. OMG, they have no stakes, but if they win, they buy Rare Atom a ticket there instead.
Very specific bans against Scout there, of course. The Tristana allows you to play the side lane, put the plushes super well. The LeBlanc is a very big champion for Scout when they get a hand of it. A few of those mid laners who have perhaps struggled to find the same level of dominance out there. We're looking at like Rookie, of course, can still be very dangerous on that LeBlanc. We've seen some crazy games from them on that champion.
And Scout going to play his first Yone game of summer. He's been playing mainly the Corki when it comes to the AD mid laners. Hasn't really had much chance to go towards something like this. He's going to pick it up now. It's going to be unlocking Weiwei to go towards one of those AP junglers.
Weiwei has been a player who has been shuffling through the various jungle picks, trying to find the things that will work, and to mixed success. I think it has taken them a little while to figure out exactly how they want to use Weiwei, or bloody how Weiwei wants to play with the team, honestly. Response there will be a Leona for PP God, of course. Very well versed on that champion. Most of the supports in the LPL are. They do love that ability to play for that hyper engage.
With this game, PP God will tie Leona as his most played champion of all time. 51 games with that being locked in. It has been a staple of the LPL meta for years. It took a year or two off with tenacity being quite high in the game. Now it's gone. It's quite easy to play this one again. Shefang going towards the Sejuani, which means that you have the double engage combo. LNG, they have their own backline access right now, but you need to lock in some magic damage to stop, as we saw earlier in the day. Leona plus another tank getting really, really hard to get through. You need to lock in that AP jungler, and they go towards the Zyra. This is interesting to me because for so long it was Karthus and Brand being priority. Now people have learned how to play the Zyra well enough. The Zyra is the priority AP jungler in a lot of ways.
And I feel like the Zyra into the Leona and the Sejuani can be pretty good, assuming you're playing your ranges quite well. It can be really obnoxious to keep your HP totals high when the Zyra is constantly slowing you down when you're looking for those picks, looking for those engages, and Leona goes in and gets hard.
But the problem here is, already with the 3 picks locked in, we have some important interactions. Against Leona, Zyra can be very, very difficult to play because you can't just stand behind plants and block a Nautilus hook or something like that. The Leona can always hit you, even if you're stood at long range. So that means you often go for a Banshee's fail. You can't do that versus the Twisted Fate. Twisted Fate presses his ultimate, your spell shield goes, and then it's free target to get onto you as well. Sejuani ult as well flies through your plants. You can't block that. You need someone stood in front of you. So Weiwei, despite the fact that the Zyra will outrange and have really good value as a farming AP jungler, it is not the easiest Zyra game. OMG have themselves some extra options. Worth noting as well that, you know, if it was Angel playing, this could have been mid lane, because it's Lonfeng, you expect that it's going to Harry instead.
It's also worth noting that Lonfeng's a very, very new player. He debuted last March, so it wasn't even at the beginning of LDL. He joined professional play partway through LDL last year and was immediately a superstar down there. But his most played champion, professionally wise, is the Yone. So getting that taken away from him as well is a pretty nice option here from LNG, and partly in trying to put Lonfeng onto something that he's a little less practiced and successful on as well.
I just love the fact that we're seeing Yasuo bans, man. It happened within the BLG series in spring as well. Lonfeng played like Yasuo into Night. He got shredded. It was not a pretty series. Did win a game after that, but of course he was alongside Starry. Both of them were subbed in towards that too. This will be the first time they're playing together since that BLG series, as far as I'm aware. And Starry is going to have to go up against Gal and Hung, going towards a lane dominant Kalista Renata. We don't see this duo that much anymore. Renata's fallen off of LPL hugely. It's fallen off of the world hugely, and it feels like that is a very strong duo to lock in and potentially punish Starry and PP God.
Well, the Sejuani takeaway from the Yone already done, but you could lock in your own melee option with the Sejuani and Akali potentially here. There's a lot of squishy members, but you have to navigate a lot of that potential counter-engage CC pretty well. I'm looking at the Renata ult, I'm looking at the Zyra ult that could prove a little difficult to manage. Lonfeng certainly accomplished on the champion, certainly comfortable on the champion, but he is going to have to play it well.
But that champion is really hard to play right now. In the current meta, in this team composition, look at the huge amount of CC that can come through from LNG. You've got a lot of CC from the Yone at different points. You've got Skarner with the W and the ult. You have Zyra with slows, and then your E root as well, and the ult. You have the Renata too. Lonfeng wants to be comboing up with the big plays from the Twisted Fate and then the Leona ult too. Like we said, if there are any spell shields, blow up the Twisted Fate ult, put the Leona ult right on top of them, then follow up with all of the dive that you can with the Kai'Sa and the Akali as well. There is a combo there for OMG. OMG were always a combo-based team in their golden era of that fan favorite era. That combo needs to be expertly played. This is a hard composition to play. They are the underdogs though. There is no pressure on them. They are already going through into that lower group. They are just looking to play spoiler and maybe buy rare Atom ticket over LNG if they win.
They have the tools to pull off some really nasty dives if they can manage to weave and duck and dodge and all those other references to a dodgeball movie that may or may not come out a few decades ago at this point. If they can do that, if they can get on to these relatively squishy members in the backline, the burst and the pick can be so nasty, but that will be easier said than done. And there's that Renata, very evil smile on that particular skin line. To the rift we go. Home arena for LNG. The chillin' in the skybox. Let's listen to the crowd roar. A relatively modest set of Gyos there. That was a very elegantly done Gyo there on screen. They had someone up on camera who was being very polite about their Gyos. I appreciate that. Very British. Well, I say it's a very British way of doing it. I've seen our football crowds. It probably doesn't count.
Yeah. Look, folks, I am enjoying watching the Euros right now because they're on right now. But football fans, we'll maybe talk about that some other time. Yeah, we'll see whether these that the fans can heat up a little bit throughout the day, because it does feel like once we get the blood boiling after a good game one or something like that, the fans can really come to life and see how the LNG you can wake up their own home arena. Scout versus Lonfeng, Yone versus Akali, melee versus melee. Feels like this one's fun, and Lonfeng immediately gets himself a dodge on the Q, gets himself a passive trade back as well. And that's very important. Level 1, you want to be dodging out as many of them as possible. Like that again. That's how you get some pressure as the Akali. Your lane dominance can be quite strong against other melees.
Bring up my soapbox while we've got a brief early game. Lonfeng, when this guy debuted in what was then Oh My Dream, has now become OMG Academy, this guy broke ankles. He just turned out of a solo queue, was playing Yasuo, was playing Akali, was playing Yone, was forcing bans on Yasuo because his jungler could play Diana, and that pairing was wild.
You can see right now he's doing a really good job of just like making sure that he's not overstaying for a passive proc. He's doing well at getting some extra kind of Qs down. There's no Doran shield or anything like that on the Yone. He's getting himself to level 2 for the extra energy regen from the smoke screen, or the whatever it's called. It's not smoke screen. That's the Graves one. The whatever. The thing. The smoke bomb, cloudy thingy. Either way, he's doing well to make sure he can take some trades back. Scout does have that fleet footwork. If he doesn't hit it onto champions, though, it does, of course, give you less healing, which is definitely going to be something which Lonfeng will be looking to dodge out on. Scout does have himself the early push, but has lost himself a little bit of the early HP. Want to see if Xiaofeng can come in and affect this wave at some point. Problem is, when you're playing this as Ronnie versus this, again, look at this, dodging out on the Qs, doing well here. Scout now has an over-pushed lane and is low HP. I think Xiaofeng can come in and affect this, because the Zyra is not good at early ganking.
No, she's a pretty solid counter ganker, but the early ganks themselves are pretty lackluster. You need to land a really good E, I guess.
Yeah, it's a little hard to do that one. Weiwei is down towards bot side. It is beyond 3 minutes, which means that there are no camps up that Weiwei wanted to have access to. And that means that OMG, they're going to see him walking down towards it. No one is coming to help them. They're still level 2, but they're full HP. They've done a good job of keeping their pots and their HP topped up. They've lost CS, but it means they are not diveable.
The Renata and the Kalista understandably able to get shove with their kind of double ranged setup, and obviously Kalista notoriously very good in lane, so allows that ability to win the priority, even despite mid lane being a little bit dicey, actually, and give Weiwei access to the river, access to the enemy jungle for wards, and a potential look at a bot lane play.
And you can't really do much against this. Good double E from Hung, but he ended up eating a single target Q, which means that Starry wins that trade. Can't get overconfident here, though. Starry, Peepy God, you are still on the weak side of the map. And one thing which is a bit problematic here, though, for OMG, is that you just had this good early lane phase from Lonfeng. You've not really managed to do anything with it besides the whole CS to even. Maybe you could have used Xiaofeng to attack him during that moment of time, but I feel like now with that opportunity gone, you're likely going to have Scout getting a good reset, and OMG maybe miss out on an important opportunity in the early game.
It was a nice wave state that Scout isn't really punished for early stance, and I can sort of understand Xiaofang sort of saying, look, I just want to get my first full clear done so I can go back, get the Kindle Gem, be in a place where I feel like I've got a little bit more potency, but you're right, maybe that's given that additional element of freedom that Scout might not otherwise have been granted.
I think it's arguably more important just to get more gold to Lanfeng. Yes, shutting down Scout is an important thing, and shutting down Yone, important. Yeah. It's a very snowballing matchup. You can very much see some cool assassination plays like this, but while you're getting under turret, missing a couple of skill shots there, it's a little unfortunate. Would have been a really good trade to make sure he definitely had to back, although he probably will do anyway. But yeah, you need to have an early snowball here from the Akali. If the Akali gets early gold, maybe you can start doing your own one-man army kind of plays onto the back line. Yeah. Getting huge assassinations onto the 4 squishies on the bot side of the map. If you don't have good gold, and if you don't have good lane control because you're winning individual matchups, then the Akali is just really hard to play in the current meta right now. We highlighted all the CC. We did say that, yes, it is a comfort pick, a specialty pick from Lanfeng. Not many people play this in the meta right now, but it's just really hard to play. There's a reason why we don't see all of the best players of it picking it up right now.
Greatest back for Scout actually in the end. It has to get a dagger and a null magic mantle to try and mitigate some of the trades that have been going pretty poorly, but can't get towards anything like a Berserker Greaves, which is often like the gold standard for a Yone first back.
It gives you that extra attack speed to lower your Q and W cooldowns, and of course in a melee versus melee matchup, move speed is a premium because it means you can outstep a little better and space out your ult attacks and abilities very effectively. While this happens, OMG, yes, they did have good early laning phase in mid lane. It's led to a decent CS advantage, but they haven't been able to get themselves onto the map to contest early objectives. With the top lane push as well, should be Grubs going over to the side of Xiaofang, but that's going to be the Dragon going over to LNG.
Much better back from Lanfeng, who comes back with a Hextech Alternator and a pair of brown bags, feeling very pleased about himself right now. Didn't even have to blow his pot in lane. I think, I'm not sure if he sold it to get a little bit extra gold. Actually, it's not in inventory anymore. He does, in fact, have the refillable potion, so I'm assuming he did just that.
We could do. Definitely, again, these matchups get really quite snowbally. One bad trade in a melee versus melee matchup can flip your entire rest of your laning phase until you get your next reset. While all this is happening, though, we focused a lot on mid lane. We have done that. Partly because Lanfeng, the rookie coming in into that mid lane, facing him against Scout, interesting matchup. Yeah, it's fun to talk about. But in terms of importance, we do have the Twisted Fate, which is a notable lane counter into the Skarner, doing well in the top lane. But we also saw a lane dominant bot lane locked in for Gala and Hung. They're currently, you know, 15 CS-ish up on Starry and PP God through that laning phase. So we have some important leads to track elsewhere in the game. We don't see that many lane-dominant lanes locked into bot lane anymore. This was more of a spring style.
Yeah, I think it's also worth pointing out that, you know what other champion really loves a Berserker Greaves on first back?
Yeah.
Kalista might be right up at the top of that list with the Yone. So the fact that that's come on through and the pressure has not abated from the early lane has been pretty good. And of course, way with the way the chat counter spawning is just pathing bot on repeat, going to be around, looking to shield this often as they can to really index into that kind of lane domination that will not stop until morale improves.
That's kind of funny. Lanfeng has himself at level 6 now. Scout, once again, losing in the melee versus melee matchup right now, but doing okay in farm. LNG are winning enough in side lanes, and Wei can't really influence this as much. Lanfeng, you might be able to dive in from this HP. He's looking for it.
Ooh, missed the E. Unfortunate there, was looking for the additional part of the R2. Can't quite get it. I appreciate the angle, but just can't quite get that additional element, especially because he knew the jungle was around. It was, I need to land the E from this angle so I don't get caught out.
Well, he didn't know the jungle was there. What you're looking to do is trying just to get that guaranteed E when that R comes through, but Scout manages to sidestep that one. If that hits, 100% dead, by the way. So Lanfeng just about forces him out of lane, but can't get himself the first assassination attempt of the game so far. Again, Lanfeng, we said he needed an early lead. He has something. Missing out on that kill, it sucks. That would have been the start of what could potentially be a win condition from OMG. Keeping Scout down, putting Lanfeng ahead.
Goes back, gets Sork Pen boots, so still in an okay position, and it's not going to lose any minions, of course, because the wave was all nicely shoved in, so good start from him. Scout has got those Berserker Greaves now, which of course is a nice moment for the Yone, and LNG on those resets begin to come and out control some of these wards that have been put down, remove some of those, get a hold of the Scuttle Crab, and potentially look to be ready for second spawn of Grubs, which will be in about a minute, 2 minutes.
Yes, we've had one Grubs, but what about second Grubs? Yeah, no, it's the Hobbit's way of thinking about objectives. I appreciate that sometimes.
It's like evil hobbits.
What?
Like void corrupted hobbits that like Grubs.
Wait, Were there any corrupted hobbits? They were pretty incorruptible when it comes to the whole Temptations of the Ring. On the whole, I feel like they were. Obviously,
Bilbo got a bit wild.
Yeah, Bilbo had that one bath salts moment where, yeah, in Rivendell.
Yeah, what the ring really is an allegory for bath salts. You're absolutely right. That's what I got from that particular fantasy series.
If you put it into a different setting, the One Ring would sound like a multi-level marketing stream.
Oh, it is.
Maybe they. Well, yeah, it was Sauron at the top.
Yeah, exactly.
For they were all deceived. For another level to the multi-level marketing was made.
And it's just like the ring raids of like those influencers that
hang
sold
on,
the multi-level marketing
folks,
scheme.
I need to make something clear here, folks. I'm aware that someone has said that Gollum was a hobbit in chat. No, he was not similar to a hobbit. There is the entire first chapter of The Hobbit, by the way, is concerning hobbits, and is about the not the etymology, but like the kind of like the culture of hobbits and the different peoples within it. He was a river person, as far as I'm aware, which is similar to a hobbit, and therefore not quite a hobbit, I think. That's as far as I got my notes right.
I'm pretty sure that's true. So, yeah. You're wrong, chat. Sucks to be you, doesn't it?
No, I'm not being mean. Well, I don't know.
Yeah, okay, yeah. You tell your truth. You insult chat a bit more. That's...
What would happen if they
Gollum was a yodel?
What would happen if they were yodels? These are the real questions. And what would happen if PP God saw people in here? Maybe he'd be with a little bit higher HP. He does have level 6, can go in, and he is.
He's going to try and get the solar flare after to allow Starry to come on over, and there's the Glacial Prison after. LNG, that was a bit dulled. Wei gets bailed out, but the Zyra, it's a drought there, and the plant is uprooted.
But while this happens, bot lane is still losing plates, so you're going to get the plate gold over to Gala. So kill goes over to Starry, but still behind in gold and in terms of XP. He's almost a full level down on Gala. Had to roam away from the turret to make that happen. So even though it was bold of Wei to walk in, maybe without some of the support which he needed, the overall trade is not as clean as that, and Starry is still going to be finding himself in a little bit of a deficit to this Kaiser's early game, especially in that experience.
Well, they do at least get something there, and it's a mitigating factor to a lane that in some ways it feels like even if you've been at the tower, you're still losing the plate, so at least you get some gold on the Kaiser, who has otherwise been left in a pretty miserable state down here.
And so, we get back out onto the map. By the way, when you're taking Dragon, Hextech is one of Zyra's worst enemies when it comes to this, because Hextech has the Chain Lightning effect. It hits all of the plants regardless if you're body blocking or not, which means that taking Hextech Dragons as Zyra can be a real pain. It doesn't matter in this case, because you've got people roaming over towards it, but just for you at home, if you ever run into a Hextech Dragon as Zyra or see one in your game, it can kill the plants, which are most of your DPS, and that is a negative for Zyra.
Lonfong throws down the Shroud, trying to cycle through as many of those Qs as possible to save this tower where they can. You can see they've actually shifted Starry towards the mid lane, but this tower still going to fall, not going to be stopped, and that will be evening up the gold lead here for LNG.
This is a little bit of the follow-on from what happened in the bot side play as well. Starry jumps in, gets the kill, but while that's happening, the tower's still taking damage, they're not clearing the wave, extra tower goes into turret, turret falls more easily at this point. Look at this again. We're going to get a replay of this. PP God walks through, and yes, he's very tanky. He's level 6. He can walk through, has the Eclipse, gets the Aftershock. It's hard to kill that Leona. But while this is happening, if you look at the minimap, the wave setting tower, yes, great ults come onto Wei, and it's a good punish. It is gold over. But the fact that they are spending time away from their bot lane does mean that, of course, they lose a little bit beyond this. OMG, if they keep playing to this combo, and they keep getting assassinations, then it is more important.
Of course, you've got a number of members that can do that. The TF and the Sejuani and the Leona, all great setup for the Akali and the Kaiser to pick up those isolated targets. If you are ever caught out as LNG, most members here will fall pretty swiftly. It's only really Zuka who's going to be the truly tanky member of the team.
And even then, not really tanky to a TF in a side lane. TF is really nasty when it comes to killing that Skarner. Trades very well against it. You see right there, trying to throw back a rock to get some extra poke damage. But Harry with 6 grubs playing in a matchup where you should get side lane pressure might be a win condition for OMG. If Longfang can do the same in another matchup, maybe that can also change things.
Does Skarner and Talia have any interactions? I feel like they should.
I don't know. I've been mentioning this since the same part. It does just feel like you are just throwing another rock.
Exactly.
He is part of the school of Talia. He was taught by Yasuo. It's all Yasuo's
It's all
fault.
Yasuo. So really, Longfang is exactly...
Yeah. So it's like the, like 1 + 1, 3. 3-size triangle. Illuminati confirmed. It's the same thing here, You've got...
Illuminati.
Yeah, we have the Yas Queen Illuminati. Yeah, so...
Don't think we've had that skin line yet.
No, not quite. Yeah, I forgot. Look, it's so complex, even I have lost track of this
Look,
heinous scheme.
you need to have a particularly high IQ to understand this thought process.
Don't have to be as high IQ to think that Herald is important, though. Scout going forwards in Fog of War. Can Lonfong get an angle with a teleport? If you can also get himself side lanes, that can be important. Here comes the TF.
Can look on forwards. That's a fairly decent chunk. Hung in a dangerous position. Gets pulled out, though, by the big ult from Kai'Sa. Sorry, Kalista, of course, with the Fates here. Lonfong into the backline. Looking for an execute. Gets the reset, though. Wait. Flashing away. Still goes down. It's a 2-for-2 right now as Lonfong beginning to trade on out Scout in the back of the pit. Zuka waiting for the Ixtal impact to get on in. Will flash on out away from a potential gold card. Looking to escape. Has a Q3. Gets towards the mid lane.
And so, it's going to be a huge, massive fight where you can see the big flanks coming in from OMG and really causing some issues for LNG. The slam into the wall happens. Scout does have ult.
Oh, that's well managed. The Shroud doesn't quite come down in time.
That is also so important. Scout getting extra gold against Lonfong means that it's much easier for him to play the side lanes after this. Comes away 2-0-1 after a difficult early laning phase. LNG make it, what, a 3-for-3 overall and also get the Herald. OMG, the flanks look flashy. That is an example of what can happen later into the game, but it's not a knockout blow. They don't get themselves the big objective. They don't get themselves a huge blowout fight either. They trade evenly overall. Gonna go back into the replay. This is something which has plagued LNG in the past. When they play against teams with big flanks, they just don't accept that the flanks are happening. They allow Akali to get right into the backline. Lonfong does a good job of avoiding the Renata ult there. Has to use his flash to do so. But later into the game, if Lonfong has more gold, if Starry has more gold, same with Scout on the Yone as well, this could be game ending. This cannot be allowed to be the type of team fight which happens again later on, even if LNG trade evenly for now.
Lonfong ends up trying to defend this control ward, and it all goes a bit wrong, especially because Zuko just gets to go through the wall. Can't quite get far enough away to avoid that insane CC chain.
Yeah, Scout gets himself some gold. Almost even now with the Akali. All of the hard work of the laning phase by Lonfong been evened up there. He has himself Lich Bane, but he is against the Hex Drinker of Scout. Makes that laning phase much easier. And OMG will get themselves back onto the map. They need to look for an individual matchup somewhere. Whether that's Harry blowing up as a side lane, using that 6 grubs on turret, or whether it's Lonfong doing the same thing. I feel like that's what needs to happen. 1-3-1, get a side lane advantage. Use these grubs while you've got them, you know?
That's exactly it. And of course, Lonfong does still have 2 kills and assists, so he's doing just fine in terms of the overall gold total. Pretty valuable here. Lonfong has also now got that ultimate available. So does pretty much everyone. 15 seconds on Dragon. I think people are ready and willing to fight here.
OMG, they have all of their big ultimates coming up just now. Harry has himself that ultimate. Wei Wei has himself Merc Treads. It's harder to pin him down if that's your target. There's a lot of Merc Treads on LNG, so it makes it much harder for you to use that gold card in general. Herald summoned while the Dragon is being started. That can maybe make its way towards mid lane, but it could also be cleared out by OMG because they're not supporting the charge. Can they stop it winding up? No. Oh, come on, OMG. They should have been able to stop this one. I don't think they can just now. They do. Okay, all right. I was about to flame them.
They had, yeah.
About to flame them. Oh, they didn't get to it in time. They stopped that. They get Harry on the top side using those 6 grubs. Important moment.
They do get a couple turrets. They stop that one. That's a big stun into stun combo. OMG in a slightly tricky position as Harry needs to keep running away. Avoids the upheaval. PP God now coming on over. The chunk from Zucker won't lead to anything entirely dangerous. And Harry had to think about how I phrased that. As Starry left in mid lane though. Not going to be in a position where he gets to stay safely on it. Lonfong looking for a flank, but the wave clear from OMG is not very safe this game.
No, it's not. They do have the Shiv on Starry, which helps a bit, but you've got to kill minions and you've got to be in range for your Q for that, which is, as you said, not really where you want to be standing. OMG, they do open up a huge top lane advantage for Harry. He gets himself to Fire Cannon. I think OMG are now at a point where they can use the next Twisted Fate ultimate to maybe break open this game. LNG, if they're not the ones dictating the pace of the side lanes, they can fall apart in them. They're also not great at judging flanks as well. OMG have access to potentially put LNG into difficult situations for both of those things. Next Twisted Fate ultimate, the next big fight, if a flank comes through from OMG, I feel like OMG could get themselves ahead in this game. LNG are now going to have to face their own demons and some of their own flaws that we've seen before.
Kind of called it out, right? The LNG, we've seen the improvement there, especially when they're the ones making plays, but defensively around objectives, their team fighting has sometimes felt a little bit uncoordinated. We've talked about the fact that the flanks have been kind of a blind spot. Literally, they just pretend they don't exist. Maybe a dive onto Zuko could prove problematic. They'll get a gold card. There's a shield available briefly. Wei Wei coming on down, and that could prove pretty dangerous. Into the suppression. Impale comes on down into the massive ultimate from Wei Wei. It'll be a 1-for-1, yeah, but the damage is huge.
Harry Does manage getting up that last kill. PPGod doesn't take aggro. OMG walk away with a 1-for-1. The thing is, Zucker still dies in the side lane. He's going to have 30 seconds off of his timer, which means he loses another wave. He's not going to be able to get any XP from that. So while it's a 1-for-1, because it benefits Harry, who is now 2,000 gold up individually, OMG are still playing towards a win condition, even if it's not as clean as they would have liked. I think slight advantage over to OMG in regards to that. LNG, they need to start stopping OMG playing around side lanes, and they will hope to try and do that around the Baron and the Dragon next spawning. It will be a cloud solve for them, but you have a lot of these champions which you need to be dodging out on important skill shots and kiting away. The cloud solve is very important. That can potentially be game-changing. Going back over to this dive. Zucker, I mean, he's a Skarner, very tanky. Here comes the ult.
Gonna get some damage onto Longfong. Now needs to trade this one out pretty carefully, but there's still a Hex Drinker here. Misses the Q3. Longfong stays alive.
Stays alive, has to use that ultimate to get out. LNG, they managed to pull the Twist of Fate ultimate away from OMG 2, and with Lunfeng no ultimate, I think they might even be able to start themselves onto the Baron if they feel bold enough. They have the Callista, the attack speed version, very good at killing that Baron, but LNG, they decide to stick towards the side lane turret instead.
The Scout given some time alone here will get a chunk. I don't think they'll be able to get the whole thing as OMG do manage to brute force their way back towards this turret.
So, LNG maybe missing an opportunity to go towards the Baron. PPGod, he has some support behind him. He should be okay. Remember, he's level 9 Leona with the Celestial opposition. Very tanky. He has himself that maximum amount of resist he can get for at this point in the game, as long as he hits that Eclipse before he is CC'd and stunned out of it or something like that. Zucker, very far behind in this individual matchup. Has the Fimble Winter and the Sunfire, so will still be fine within a team fight, but this is not going to be an unkillable Skarner in a side lane. Harry, who is, you know, the replacement top laner for this team, might have to be the win condition for his team, again, to play spoiler against LNG and put them at question of that Ascension qualification.
Longfong nearly at Shadowflame. On the other side, we're looking at Scout, who stopped off for a Hex Drinker first, stopped off for a QSS. It's going to mean he's going to be a little way off those 2 item spikes that we normally really start to get scared of Yones over, but I understand the decision making here in terms of the 1v1s. Gotta have the QSS against the TF, gotta have the Hex Drinker against the Akali.
Minute and Soul Dragon would be Soul for LNG. Cloud Soul, when you have champions like, you know, Twisted Fate trying to run you down, can be really important. Here comes a fight.
So in the picture-in-picture, Gala has no summon. That could prove difficult. The Stranglethorns comes on through into a big Fate Sealed. Xiaofang trying to get out, cannot. 2 members dead. Longfong in the backline trying to get something, but is rooted up in his shroud. Just can't get the execution. Bailed out, does get one. Needs to run away from Zucker. Gets a speed up with the fleet foot, but with the Conqueror, I apologize, and the Q. Trying to continue to run away. We'll have another E cooldown and maybe...
Oh, the plants!
Need to run away with the plants!
Oh, it's photosynthesis all over again. Flash forward.
Hang on, the damage back here could be pretty big as Starry's finally down. Way, desperately low. Not down. Starry was on the took aggro. Sorry, make that Harry. Misreading the names just briefly. Damage back onto Zucker. Stays alive, avoids the grasping roots. W lands. Starry won't step on forward. Another close fight.
OMG, I think they have the HP bars just barely to take away this dragon. And LNG, what could have been a huge objective moment for them, cannot seal that out quite just yet. Double 80 carries on the dragon without contest. OMG get their first dragon of the... We need a replay for this, folks. There are a million different things that happen. I guess OMG walk away the winners of that. They walk away denying that dragon again. Where are we starting? Right from the start of it. Hung on the Renata, has the Celestial opposition, so it's hard to burst him out, and has a great ult to start things off. Starry does cleanse through, so it's not the Kai'Sa hitting their own teammates, and while it is a good series of ultimates, it's onto the tanks on the front line. Means you don't have the big ultimates to deal with the Akali right here. Lunfeng, you said that it's hard for him to play around, but he doesn't have that much to deal with at the back end of this. Does get himself a really important move speed from his passive proc there to keep running away, but sadly, this garden is full of nasty thorns. He dies on one side, Scout dies on the other, and this is where things go really wild, because Harry has so much gold, he can just carry this fight alone.
Of course, you still remember, Fate sealed in the real picture.
TF
Scout needs to get away, but they can still look to potentially go a little bit further. Scout down the Fate sealed.
Yeah, and Harry uses ult for that. Hung gets the Celestial opposition away from Terminus now built up for Harry.
Boy.
And every time it comes up, it makes me feel like an Warhammer 40k item. Exterminatus, rather, it feels like in this one. 3-0. Feels like he can really use that to great effect. I really feel like OMG could win through side lanes at this point. LNG needs to be so dreadfully afraid of how Harry is playing on the map.
There's a lot of flashes down, and yes, you've got decent disengage, but if people get on top of you, It is now very difficult to survive. Now that a couple of the items have been completed, the Kai'Sa, the Akali, more than enough DPS, Longfong, Twilight Shroud, has been pretty good with that so far this game. Even in that last fight, survived a lot because he was just invisible while CC'd.
Longfong, considering how difficult it is going on Zucker.
Just a flash away, Skarner down, potential key summoner, gold card comes on through, but has still got the shield. Should be okay.
Yeah, that's Mugtread's MVP right there. Could have been the follow-up from PP God. Zucker is a Skarner at 2 items. Even though he's down 3,000 gold individually, is still tanky. Thing is, with OMG using a lot of their big ultimates, LNG finally go towards the Baron.
Here we go again. No vision. Might be able to get on in here and start fighting. Over comes Harry. Where? Oh, where is Longfong? On the flank. That could prove problematic. And LNG's abilities to deal with flanks been called into question before. Gets shoved into the wall. Fantastic read! Ensures the death of the Akali, and the damage back is exactly what LNG were looking for. This time they punish the flank. This time they get a couple kills. And OMG cannot contest the Baron. They end up falling by the wayside, and the objective will be LNG's.
Longfong misjudges his engage timing. The rest of OMG can't bail him out, and Zucker, it doesn't matter if he's 1k or 10k behind. He's still a Skarner with all of that CC. The peel comes through. Zucker really saving the team fight. He might just survive on the turret. Starry
gets the kill. That's not bad. At least you get a Baron buff off the table.
Okay, Zucker saves the team fight, does on the turret. There will be a teleport from Scout looking to go hunt down one of those Scarlet Styes. I don't think he's going to make it out of here. Finds the rest of the waiting team for him. LNG clean up shop, and now with the AD carry gone at a really desync timing with the rest of his team, I think LNG might have just found themselves their game-winning play. Going back towards this replay, Longfong goes in way too early. Longfong, he's completely zoomed out. Zucker finds him within that shroud. No mobility is going to get you out of that one, even with the extra follow-up from that solar flare. While it's happening, Zyra ult, Renata ult buys the rest of the CC they need to get themselves the winning fight. OMG, they misplay one of the most important plays of the game.
And we've been praising Longfong's ability to use the shroud to immune a lot of the CC. This time it just didn't matter. Didn't get to use it properly, and he goes down, was a key part of that potential Baron contest, and that might be exactly what LNG needs to break this game open in their favor. Now the gold lead out of nowhere, about 6,000, purely off a few of those turrets finally falling, that big fight and those shutdowns coming along. LNG truly in command now.
And that was the one fight really felt like OMG could flip the game over. They had themselves win conditions. They had themselves Harry with this huge advantage on the Twisted Fate, but they haven't been able to leverage that. LNG bring them to the Baron. And this is, you know, a place where LNG might have failed previously in the group stages. They were not good at dealing with flanks. They were not always dealing well with people having winning side lanes against them. But as it stands right now, huge Baron power play. They have the Dragon coming up in 40 seconds. They have huge items coming up too. 3.5 items in Gala. Gala feels like he could run away with a fight by himself. That could just be this could be the victory lap now.
Now we're starting to see a few more of the item completions come on through. PP got engaged onto will turn it around himself. The Glacier Prison afterwards is actually really good. Harry looking for the gold card, but the follow-up's just not here. Longfong flashes the Fate Sealed into the E, but he's got nowhere to go. He's dead.
And that means again, Longfong fails one of the late game team fights, and OMG have to play without their mid laner.
We said it was going to be so hard to play the Akali, but Starry wasn't there, despite the attempted pick CC. This time it's OMG who are proving in these latter stages to be just not quite on the same page.
And LNG, they need this win. If they win, they are through to the Ascension group, the upper group in the next stage of LPL. If they lose, Rare Atom would go ahead of them, and both of these teams playing right now would fall down to the Nirvana group. And it feels like right now, LNG, this game is exactly what they need to buoy their hopes once again. Going back to the start of this play, Hung goes forwards. He's had himself some really good Renata ults, I think, so far in this game. Starts off things again, and while Harry and Longfong get themselves into the fight, it's through them set front and center. It's not through the flank. They're not getting themselves to the big enough targets in the back line, and they miss position.
I really appreciate the slowdown there, because Longfong stepped forwards to get an auto and just caught the very tail edge of the hostile takeover going the other direction. So he was CC for a bit longer than he thought he was going to be. Gala's very deep here, needs to be a little bit careful. Gold card comes on through, but now the QSS, apologies, the cleanse, and now the damage onto PP God is monstrous. Ooh. I thought Leona's was supposed to be tanky.
Yeah, not when you've got the press the attack Kalista with so many items. Gala taking a backseat for so much of this game, finally gets a chance to do a hop, skip, and a jump over OMG's shallow graves, it feels like in this one. OMG, they have been just run about around the late game fights, and now they're in free fall. LNG run towards the base.
Like a 9 to 10,000 gold lead at this point in OMG. They have got to pray to their namesake and hope they get something. That Fate Seal was a little bit dodgy. And actually, the damage on the Scout is pretty solid. Down to about half HP, but still has the teleport if he's given the opportunity to reset. Quite see the cooldown from my angle on viewing the screen, so might not actually have that opportunity, and that might be what they need to get a bit more damage. Gets cleansed, so he should be fine with that QSS. Stopwatch buys some time, but Harry in a difficult position goes on down, and they just don't have the damage anymore. Any attempt at a pick is immediately turned around. The CC chain is looking mighty long, and it's attached to an anchor that's dragging OMG into the depths. They just don't have anything left to work with, and bye-bye SSOMG. Game 1's boat is surely sinking.
Yeah, feels like OMG, with this amount of gold, they might have just seen another Ocean Gate as well, but they're not the billionaires. They're still crashing and burning, though, getting crushed under the weight of LNG. Lonfong left alive. With the wave dying LNG, I don't think they can end the game. And OMG will get one last chance.
We'll live in a blood-red submarine as the Megalodon that is LNG comes along and savages them. After a very competitive early to mid game, the Baron power play into the now on 10,000 gold lead properly is pretty disgusting to witness.
Yeah, I thought part of the deal is that you're the ones in the money if you want guns. Getting crushed. Look, it's a bit of a morbid topic, actually. Scout, he ends up getting himself a bit of a yellow star combination and misses everything. Goes back to his initial starting point. And yeah, Scout. What, dude, look, Yellow Star, great player, one of the greatest of all time, also famous for missing all of his skill shots in that one thresh.
That's true.
It's something which he'll have to live with, I'm sorry. And Harry, sadly for him, he didn't get to live with Miss much longer. Missteps, goes forward, good route from the Zyra, and once again that pick proving really, really valuable. The fact is that OMG are diving into so many champions that just managed to skip past their damage and just force them into slows and damages over time. Yeah, it's a good E onto Gala. Lonfong gets the Callista down, probably saves the game by doing that, but it doesn't mean that this is it doesn't mean that it's a good fight. It means that it's just the bare minimum fight to stay alive in the game.
Buys him Azonias, which maybe is what they need. And in fairness, a 3-item Akali at level 16, still going to be a threat.
Did they just spot someone on the flank? No, Zucker was running around the enemy jungle, so I was wondering whether they were playing with that fog of war, what happened there. Scout jumping forwards again, has a Mercurial Scimitar, the Jack Show, the Hex Drinker, so much magic resist on this Yone. Means that OMG really, really struggling to get any relevant damage onto him too.
Yeah, and of course the Kaiser at this point not having the easiest time finding the moment to press the R button. I don't blame Starry. There's a lot of things you have to wait for before you can press R safely, particularly in a 5 versus 5. Baron has started, and members of LNG are going to be a known quantity with the press of the ult.
Twisted Fate. Can they get themselves a flank? No, they're going straight down the front and center again. This doesn't look like a winning team fight, and the Baron's gone.
Denies Scout's easy entrance. PP got to the backline, but is immediately met with the Lance of Thorny Longinus and dies very swiftly. The Sejuani is again turned into spare ribs. Starry gets over the wall. Some fancy feet that are swiftly broken at the ankle. And it's a triple kill to Gala.
Zucker teleporting into the base, and OMG once again go down the front and center, and it is just a charge of the Light Brigade. The stars are not twinkling so much tonight. OMG getting blasted off the map.
Zucker will face roll book his way towards the Nexus here and help secure this game 1 victory. Lonfong styling for just the TikTok reels at this point, but still dies to do it. Game secured. LNG, when they got the lead, refused to give it up.
If the only thing you remember is me talking about Yellowstar from this game, by the way, I'm really sorry. That guy, I'm sorry that one of the GOAT supports of all time, you know, like, is mentioned only when people miss skill shots. I mean, at least we get to remember him that way.
Smithy.
We have a couple of those on there.